Hey guys, I just wanted to make this quick video before I start streaming tonight, and I wanted to go over all the issues that New World is having, which is a lot. I'm still going to play the game, I'm still enjoying it. Don't let anyone tell you different if you're enjoying it, but, you know, when people come to my stream and say, should I buy the game, I have to make people aware of these issues, because if they don't fix these within 3 to 6 months to a year, I mean, the game, has the possibility of tanking hard. So let's get to it. The first issue is huge, I think. It's the Invincibility Exploit, which is done by playing in windowed mode and moving the game window. And this means that, physical calculations are happening the same time the game is rendering, and the decisions about damage and things are being decided client side. Which just, if the client has that much control, then so many exploits can happen. It's mind-boggling, actually, that this is an issue, and this is just terrible coding practice. And if you want evidence of it, I'm going to link the video in the description. You can check it out for yourself, but it's how people are winning faction wars. It's just been pretty bad, actually. Number 2 is mass reporting and banning of valuable guild members before wars. This hasn't happened personally that I can see on my server. Maybe it has and I'm unaware of, but it seems that, you probably guys already know this. This is a huge problem. And, this is like MMO 101 stuff, The reporting system shouldn't just automatically ban people without appeals first. 24 hours to appeal yourself, that's not fast enough, and it just breeds the most toxic environment possible. Wars and PvP being exploited, resulting in factions controlling the whole map. And even if you win or do good in a territory battle, you're still not really sure if it was legit, right? And this is if the whole game is based on PvP and territory control, it saddens me to see such a bad environment to participate in sometimes. And it really matters, because if you lose territory, it's going to take you longer to quest because you can't travel for as much Azoth or as few Azoth, excuse me. And you can't transfer things from one place to another easily. You don't get resource gathering benefits. There's a lot of benefits that come with territory control, and if it's not done in a fair way, it just kind of kills the game. But it just saddens me to see it, because it's so fun. These territory wars are so fun to participate in. Not a lot of information on how things work. So this is more of just a UI design practice. I think that should be taken up in video games more, where I don't want to have to go somewhere or find a resource that's third party to see exactly how calculations work. If I, wanted to do a bunch of mathematics, some people like that, right? Some people really love the calculation, but I just think that I should be able to see how my character is being affected by the gear without having to make spreadsheets. This isn't EVE Online. This is, an MMO that is, a little bit more casual. So, in gems and scaling, I made a video on just, it wasn't really a guide as much as just like telling my chat and viewers, hey, here's my build and what I'm using and why I'm using it. And when I got to the part where I'm describing the gem, I was like, all I really know is that my intelligence is being scaled here on my musket, but, I don't know how effective different gems are, and it's just not apparent, and it's hard to find information on it. People have to do data scraping and, all this crazy shit just to be able to see how their gear is affecting their character. And I just don't see that as a great thing. And going off that, watermarks, right? I think watermarks is another thing that should be displayed in your UI. If you don't know what a watermark is, it's basically, the highest gear score item that you can find at a particular time, and you have to increase your gear score cap by killing enemies and having a chance for that to be upgraded. So if you find a sword that's like gear score 530, and then you kill a mob and you find one that's like 545, that means that you hit that roll higher, and now every sword that you find will now be from, you know, gear score 100 to 545 now. So and that means you have to kill mobs over and over and over again in order to increase your gear score cap so you can find better gear. And, you know, I don't see that as too terrible of a problem, because it seems like the game design philosophy with that would be maybe to make it so people don't get gear extremely fast. But, you know, I don't think it breeds good gameplay. I think it just results in people zerging up and killing the same boss over and over again, waiting for spawns, and it just doesn't seem like a fun way to do it. And I honestly would think that crafting would be more fun than that. The numbers not being displayed in the UI correctly. So there's so much discussion around how damage types and things like that, because it's so hard to figure out. And numbers, you know, people are discovering lately on Reddit and stuff that certain things are just not correct. Like the light armor bonus says it does a 20% damage boost, but it's more like 13, right? And I kind of jotted a note here that said, you know, there's rumors, and I haven't tested it myself, but, you know, more and more people are finding that there's either strange bugs happening in the gear scaling and damage scaling, or it's just flat out not telling you the correct information. Endgame boss spawn rates are not spawning at all. So this one is huge, because people aren't even able to access certain endgame content, because you just can't even find the boss to kill to get that, you know, orb to access the expedition or whatever. I haven't gotten there yet personally, but man, I mean, if people can't access content in your game, like, and it's in the game, that's just so sad, because not only did the developers work on this great content that we're supposed to experience, but people can't even reach there. So I mean, this is an obvious one that they're definitely gonna fix, but I just feel like if your game releases like that, this broken, there's some huge problems there. Corrupted portals and breaches are pretty boring in my opinion. I mean, people just zerg up. There's a lot of endgame gameplay where you're just kind of zerging up, killing the same things over and over and over again for experience, for increasing your watermark, for increasing your gear score. And they're just boring and not, I feel like they don't scale well. The open world corrupted portals and breaches don't really scale well with how many people are fighting them. They're not that exciting. So I just think they really need to spice that up a bit. People not being able to participate in wars and invasions due to gatekeeping. I think this one's pretty big, and it's in the gap between new players and experienced players is only going to widen, and you're not going to get selected to war, because people are going to, you know, expect a certain gear score. And I haven't experienced, I've been lucky, and I'm pretty high level. I'm level 65.5, and people have been accepting me in wars, especially with my company. Much love, shouts out. But because they've done a good job at like saying, if we're trying to declare war and they see you participating to declare war, you know, you're more likely to be chosen. But, you know, there's a lot of instances where streamers and certain players in the game have total control of who's in it, and there's just a lot of politics. And I don't know how to remedy this, since, you know, it's a 50-on-50 battle. But, you know, it breeds a little bit of toxicity in the culture, right? You know, people yelling at each other in faction chat after a war, blaming each other for the loss because they didn't get selected. You know, it's just it can be a hoot and a holler reading it. I'm never a part of that, but you know, I'm grateful that I get chosen for wars, and you know, I see that as kind of a problem though, right? And the gap is only going to widen with new players. The Ice Gauntlet exploit. So you know, people would stack their Ice Gauntlet AoE in one spot, and it would lag the server so bad that people just stand still, and then you know, players can still move and kill each other and kill people that can't even move for 20 seconds, and then they just started winning territory in wars. And the way this is, you know, not only was there that exploit, but there was also the fix that Amazon put out was pitiful in my opinion, just canceling. So now if you put an ice storm down and then somebody puts another one on top, it just cancels yours. And I think that is the same for healing AoEs. So in my opinion, this, I mean, and I don't even think if it's fix the problem. So I don't even know sometimes if I throw my AoE down, if I'm canceling a higher level player's, you know, Ice Gauntlet, and you know, it just leads to uncertainty in battle, right? Economies crashing on larger servers. I kind of put here no gear recycling. I think so. For me, you know, on our server, the economy is okay, I think. But on larger servers, I mean, there's star metal tools being sold for like 150 to 250 only. And like, you know, the amount of work that you have to put into to make a profit, it just keeps getting, you know, EVE Online status almost, right? So, I think that's because there's no gear recycling. And what I mean by that is there's no gear loss or anything like that. Once you craft something, you have it forever. And with such a good crafting system, I think that it's a shame to have, you know, maybe there's areas where you lose gear, or maybe, you know, over time your gear score kind of degrades over a long period of time. It doesn't have to be too crazy where every time you die you lose a gear score point. It could be slower than that, but just anything to make crafting a little bit more valuable endgame, and you know, more of the central focus for gear and in the economy. I think people just have everything they need late game, and you know, they don't need, everyone can do every profession. So I don't know how to fix this. Besides that, if anyone has any better ideas, you can comment below and yell at me. But I think there needs to be something there to keep the economy going. Amazon lying about being able to server transfer across region. I mean, this one's huge, right? When everyone was waiting in queue times, they were told, oh, I can just play on a less populated server and then transfer later. And then they lied. And then a week later, now it got delayed. And now we can't do cross region. And I'm lucky. I like the server I'm on. I have no plans on leaving. But I mean, it's a shame. I can't imagine still playing if I can't play with my friends. You know, this is a travesty if you can't change your region, because what if you had to play on East Coast when you're West Coast, because everything, or vice versa. And now you're just playing on a server that doesn't have great connectivity, and you have to make a new character in a new region, and who knows what's happening with that, and who knows if the server that you're going to go to is great or not. And all that work that you put in on your server is now gone to waste. And you know, in my server, there's rumors of a whole company leaving to another server. So what does that happen? What does that mean for my faction and in our server? Is it going to become less populated, and am I going to have to leave it? And another thing is how our server merges going to work, right? So I have a big question about this. I don't know if they have any plans. So what if everyone, you know, we have this max exodus from our server, and then it gets so small that now we have to merge another server into ours. And how is that going to work with territories? The only way I could see it working would, say you have a territory that's owned by the green boys over here, and then, you know, the purple boys own a territory over here. When the server merges, maybe it automatically starts a war conflict. That's how I could only kind of seeing it work. But, you know, I'm not a game designer, so that's not my problem to solve. But it's going to be rough, right, with server merges. And then, you know, you never know what's going to happen with that. Next one. graphics cards are exploding. Like, people's computers are being destroyed by the game. Amazon, fix your game if people's graphics cards are exploding. I will not. I'm gonna turn. I've been playing on medium, but lately I've been like, you know what? I need to just play on low, absolutely low. I wouldn't risk. I don't want to risk my graphics card. I've only heard or seen this with 380s or 390s maybe. But, I highly advise that you turn the graphics down just in case. I haven't had any problems with my graphics card. Obviously, there's lag issues and big wars and things like that, but I think that's more server side, so I haven't had any issues. But I will put a link in the description to a good resource on that. JZ 2 cents. He did a great video about the power management of your CPU and graphics card and how it is destroying it for certain models. And so it pains me to see here that Amazon a year ago thought that they could release the game, and then a year later there's still some huge issues. And I mean, I could even see it's gonna take 6 months to a year for them to fix a lot of these issues, and if they don't, they're going to lose a ton of players, and I don't want that to happen. I don't want this to be a video hating on Amazon or the developers or anything like that, but these are some pretty big issues, and I hope that they fix them. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Much love. Win some territory wars fairly if you can. Good luck, and maybe I'll see you on the stream. Much love.